Hey guys, hello and welcome to Naveed for Speed. In today's video, I am going to be showing you this car right here. It's the Suzuki Swift. I'm going to be showing you around the exterior of the car. I'm going to be showing you some of the interior features, and I'm going to be taking it out on a drive to show you exactly what it feels like to drive. Now, the good thing about the Suzuki Swift is it hasn't really changed that much from its predecessors. The general design, the general dimensions of the car are quite similar, but it has been slightly updated. And I'll show you around the exterior to begin with. First, I want to talk about this paintwork. This is an optional extra paintwork. It's got dual tone, so the roof is mineral grey, but the paintwork is actually cool yellow. That's what it's called. I know it might not look like it, but that's called cool yellow. Yeah, it's a £750 optional extra. It does look pretty cool, but it's definitely not yellow. I'll start at the front of the car, and we'll start with this front grille, this redesigned front grille in piano black. It gives the Suzuki Swift a face, it gives it a personality, and I think it looks really quite cool. You get this sort of plastic front trim at the bottom here. Again, looks really nice, and these sort of sculpted side areas which give the whole car a bit more sharpness. Talking about that sharpness, you've got these L-shaped headlights, the daylight running lights, and with the main beam in the middle. Again, I think from the front that gives the car a bit more of an aggressive face, and it just looks like a little car that just means business. I think it looks really quite cool. As we move towards the side of the car, you'll notice from the side profile that the top half of the car and the bottom half of the car are split really nicely, and that's because of the black pillars and the black roof compared to the bodywork, which is that cool yellow color. Now, you can get this car in several colors that are one color, or you can get them in dual tones, like you've got here with the mineral gray and the cool yellow. If you get it in, for example, the red or the blue, you can get it with the black roof. But again, I think the mineral grey roof looks really good. Over here, you'll notice it's got 16-inch polished alloy wheels. Now, that's because the car that I have today is the Ultra Spec. Now, the Suzuki Swift comes in two trim levels. It comes in the entry level Motion Spec, and it comes in the Ultra Spec. I've got the Ultra Spec. I'll show you a bit more about the features inside, what you get with the Ultra Spec, but it costs around £1,000 more than the Motion Spec. And in general, the Suzuki Swift costs under £20,000. The one I'm driving today costs just over £19,500, and with the £750 extra, it comes to about £20,500 for this particular car as driven today. Suzuki are really simple when it comes to their spec. Like I say, it's just literally two specs, and there you are. It's nice and easy. Although with this particular car, you can get it in four-wheel drive as well. It's called the AllGrip Auto. It's still front-wheel drive, but when the car needs to, it can send some of the torque to the rear wheels. Suzuki say that it's for people who live in the rural environments, and if they need some extra grip in sort of wet conditions, that's what that's for. But yeah, you can get this in four-wheel drive. You can also get this car in a manual, a 5-speed manual, or you can get it in a CVT auto. The one that I've got is the 5-speed manual. So again, I'll show you how that is like to drive. As we move towards the back of the car, this is where we come to the boot. And now, from the back of the car looks a bit wider, and it looks like it's got a really nice stance from the back here. It shows the sort of rear 3/4 area, makes it feel like it's got a bit of power, and it looks really quite good. The dimensions of the car is 3.8 meters long. It's 1.73 meters, so 173 centimeters wide, and it's just under 1.5 meter tall. So it's wider than it is taller, and that looks really good, because from behind it really looks like it's got this sort of wide stance, and I really quite like that. I'll show you the boot if I just open this. So there's your boot. Now, I was quite surprised at this boot because the Suzuki Swift is such a small car. I thought the boot would be really small. So what you get here is 265 litres of boot space, and you can fold the seats with a 60-40 split, and once you fold the seats you get over 580 litres. I believe it's 589 litres of boot space that you get, that you can store things in. But there is a little bit of a lip when it comes to the when you put the seats down, so do be be aware of that. And there's a big lip actually here when you're getting luggage in and out of the car. But you've also got this cover under here. You don't get a spare wheel, but you do get a compressor so that you can fill air up into your tires if they do, you know, in an emergency situation, if the tires do deflate. But otherwise, yeah, that's your boot space. I'll show you the interior of the car, and I'll show you some of the features, especially some of the safety features of this car, which Suzuki do really well. So let me show you around some of the interior features of the Suzuki Swift. Now, when it comes to the Suzuki Swift, you get a lot of stuff as standard, which includes heated seats, you get cruise control, you get all sorts of stuff as standard. This 9-inch screen that you have in front of you as well, touch screen, which isn't the most responsive, but it's nice and easy to use. When it comes to the interior of the Ultra Spec of the Suzuki Swift, now that's where there are some changes. So for the Ultra Spec, you get back here, I'm not sure if you can see in the camera, you get adjustable seat belts. And for the rear passengers, you also get an air vent, and you get those 16-inch polished alloy wheels that I mentioned earlier. When it comes to the interior cabin, I think it's really quite nice. You get loads of these interesting different plastics. Some of them do feel a little bit scratchy and maybe on the cheap side, but some of them feel really quite nice, and I think they've done a really good job of mixing these materials really well to make stuff like the dashboard look really good with all these different types of plastics. And you get the steering wheel that comes in with this leather steering wheel, and it's got this plastic trim inside it as well with all the buttons on it too, and the stitching on the inside. Really nice and nice to hold. It's not too thick, it's not too thin, it's got a flat bottom. Really good, with the Suzuki logo in the middle as well. The seats come in this sort of fabric material with this sort of pattern in there. Decent comfort you get from them, although I will let you know exactly how it feels when it comes to the driving experience. I will say it is a little bit on the firm side. Other than that, yep, I've got the 5-speed manual, so you can see the gear stick here, proper old school handbrake as well, which is really fun to use. Heated seats, both seats are heated, and you get all sorts of USB connectivity over here. So you get some USB ports, and you get some USB-C ports, and you get a 12-volt socket as well. Yeah, really good. The dashboard and the infotainment system is all focused slightly towards the driver, so it's tilted towards the driver in terms of it's the way that you can use it really easily as the driver. But yeah, everything is within reach, everything is nice and easy to use. Headroom for the driver and the passenger, and I think the rear passengers actually as well, is really good, because the ceiling is really quite high. I feel like I'm sat quite upright in this car, and quite low but upright, which is really good in this car. It is obviously a small car, but when you're driving it on the road, it doesn't feel like it's small, and you got all this, you know, plenty of room around you, so that's really quite good. Let's take this car out for a drive, and I'll show you exactly what it feels like to drive, because it is quite a fun car. Right, so let's take the Suzuki Swift out for a drive, and I'll show you exactly what it feels like to drive, and I'll show you what sort of performance it has, and I'll also show you what sort of fuel economy you get in this car. Now, I've been driving this car for about a week, mostly around town, and I'm quite surprised with the miles per gallon that I'm getting out of this car. Now, I'll tell you later on in the video exactly what the MPG is, but I want you to have a guess. Let me know in the comments what you think the fuel economy of this car is, because it is really quite impressive. Maybe it's 35 miles per gallon, maybe it's 40, maybe it's 45. Let me know the figure that you think it is, and I'll reveal at the end of this video what sort of fuel economy I've been getting. But right now, I am in the Yorkshire Dales, and I'm taking the car on a bit more of a country road because I want to push the car a little bit more. The road is wet, so I want to see exactly what it feels like. And to begin with, I've got to say, first and foremost, visibility is great out the front and pretty decent out the back as well. You can see very well through the wing mirrors. I think the seating position is really quite good. When it comes to that comfort, now the suspension seems a little bit firm. You can feel every single bump in the road, but you can also feel a bit more feedback from the steering wheel than you would expect from other cars, other modern cars at least. So that's really quite good. The car's very agile because it weighs less than a ton, so it's really light. It has a 1.2 litre engine, 3-cylinder engine with a mild hybrid. Now, it's not a full-blown hybrid. That mild hybrid power only comes into effect when the car's stopping and starting or when you're taking off. So it gives that little bit extra assistance, because that's where your fuel economy will suffer the most, when the car the engine is revving and you're trying to get going, and that hybrid powertrain comes into effect there, and so that's what can help your fuel economy. So that's really quite good. When it comes to the interior of the car, the steering wheel, I've already mentioned, is really nice to use, quite light. The car has this 5-speed manual gearbox right here with this really lovely throw. It's quite a big throw actually, but it's nice and easy to use. The gear goes in really well with a little bit of a click, and it's quite satisfying actually. Again, I mentioned the agility of this car because of how light it is, and it comes with around 82 horsepower, which doesn't seem like a lot, but like I said, the car weighs less than a ton, so it is really fun. And with this manual gearbox especially, all you really do is you just rev it up, dump the clutch, and you just, you can really have some fun with this car. Because of how light it is, it feels so nimble. But you can certainly feel every single bump in the road, but you're enjoying every single bit of it. And that's what it's all about. It takes me towards that Colin Chapman quote of simplicity and lightness. That's what we've got here with this car, and you can really feel it. It's easy. And then you have moments like this where you need to pass somebody on a country road like this, and again, that's so easy because of the width of this car. It's 173 centimeters, which is, if I was to lay down, I'd be taller than the width of this car. So yeah, it's really quite good. 9.6 meters turning circle, so yeah, it's really easy to maneuver if you're doing a 3-point turn, for example. But yeah, it's just a joy, and you don't get these small cars like this anymore. And it is so fun because you don't have to, you can always have your foot down. Right now I've got the car in third and I've got my foot all the way down, but let's put it into second. You can always have your foot down and you can always enjoy yourself without going to the limit too much. And that's what I like about this car. So I've been driving this car for about a week around town, and to be honest, I like to usually play a game where I'm trying to be as economical as I can be with cars, mostly because I want to save money. I've been driving a lot of electric cars recently as well, and they're not the cheapest to charge when it comes to fast chargers. So with this particular car, once I started to understand the way that it works, I decided to try and be as uneconomical as I could. I tried to drive and I tried to make that MPG suffer as much as I could. And guess what? Around town, within reason obviously, and guess what? Around town, the fuel economy figure that I got was 45.6 miles per gallon. That's what it's showing me right now. And I think that's really quite impressive for around town. And I've been told that you can get over 60 miles per gallon in this car combined, and obviously in the high 60s at least when it comes to the motorway driving. I know that to be true because the gentleman who delivered this car to me drove mostly on the motorway, and when the car arrived, the figure that was showing on the dashboard was in the high 60s. So yeah, I do know that to be true. So if you definitely want a car that you can save money on, I mean, first and foremost, a car that's quite affordable, under £20,000, a car that's small, a car that's fun, and a car that'll save you money, the Suzuki Swift is one that you got to consider. It sits in the 27D insurance group as well, so it's not as expensive as some other cars, but it's also not the cheapest either. But you will definitely get fuel economy savings when it comes to driving this car. So if you're looking for small cars, there aren't many available, but the Suzuki Swift, as reliable as ever, it's been going for 40 years now. the Suzuki Swift is available. And yeah, if you want some fun, check this out, check this car out. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope if you are looking to buy a Suzuki Swift, this has given you some good information in terms of what it's like to drive, what it's like to own. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care.